All right, Cecilia. How are you today?
Not too good. My stomach hurts.
So, I would like to ask you a few questions about your childhood, starting with where were you born?
In Queens, New York, not too far from my house.
And what year was that?
1933,
And what day?
September 1st.
Good. So, do you remember, did your parents tell you anything about that day?
No,
No. Was it was it like a nice fall day? Because it wouldn't have been snowing or anything yet.
yeah, well, they didn't talk that much
They
to
didn't.
us. They didn't talk that much the
No.
way the parents do today.
Right, right. So, what is your most vivid memory from when you were a child? How far back can you remember? Do you remember going to kindergarten?
Yes,
So tell me about that. Who was your teacher?
her name was Mrs. Artali, and she said I was smart, so she skipped the first grade. I skipped.
You were skipped?
Yeah, I don't remember.
So you went straight from kindergarten to second grade?
Yes, apparently.
Wow.
I don't remember that, but that's what she said.
Really?
Yeah.
So that means that you were younger than the rest of the kids.
Yes, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what else do you remember about grammar school? How did you get there?
Usually we walked or my father took us
Okay.
in his truck.
Okay.
He was an electrician and he had a truck with all his electrical work, electrical information in it. And he took us and picked us up.
Who did he take? You and Aunt Lil?
Yeah. Yeah.
And she was 2 years ahead of you in school?
Yes.
Okay. So you went in his truck?
Some
then,
days, yeah.
What did you do for lunch?
We actually walked home for lunch.
You did?
Yeah.
And what, was that hard for you, like in the winter and stuff?
I don't remember it being hard.
No?
If the weather was bad, my father took us
Yeah.
and picked us up. Because during the time we had lunch, I remember my father was there at the table and having his sandwich, and my cousin Manny was there, and he worked with my father, and he ate his. He had I never forget it. He had a bologna sandwich every day. Yeah.
Manny. So that was your father's cousin?
Yes.
And your father's name was?
Cyrus Joseph.
Right. And your mom's name was?
Josephine.
Right. And do you remember why they named you Cecilia Marie?
I don't know if it was after my mother's mother. Her name wasn't Cecilia. I don't.
Do you think maybe it was after a saint? Could it have been after Saint Cecilia?
It could have been.
Yeah. What church did you go to when you were a kid?
St. Pascal Melon.
What was that in Queens?
Yes, it's St.
Where you were born?
Yes.
Do you remember the address of the house you grew up in?
Oh, that is that question that I.
Or what street you grew up on?
Let's see. Let me think.
Now, it was St. Albans, Queens, right?
Yeah.
So, do you remember the street?
I think it was 198th or 120th Street.
Okay. 120th
Yeah.
Street in Queens.
Yeah. And then we moved. My father was a builder. He built a brand new house on 2 blocks away on 198th Street. And that was nice.
So what was that house like?
It was it had enough. It had 2 stories. It was 2 stories, and Aunt Lil and I had a bedroom up there, and Aunt Jackie had a bedroom. And when Aunt Donna came, she had a small bedroom in the middle of the house, in the middle of the rooms.
Okay, so she was born, what, quite a bit later, right?
Yes.
You and Aunt Lil were older.
Yeah, I was dating your father.
Yeah, because you're going to be 87 on Tuesday, September 1st,
Right,
2020, right? You're going to be 87.
right.
And Aunt Donna is right now 71. Because she's actually 10 years older than me. So she was 16 years younger than you.
Right, and when I was dating Dad, your father, Aunt Donna was a little girl, and I remember
Right.
he was playing with her and everything. I
You
remember,
do?
yeah. She was little. It was like having a little. He had ever seen a little child that small, and he liked playing with her.
Because he didn't have any little sisters.
No, he just had a brother.
Right. So let's go back now, back to grammar school. You said that you skipped a grade?
Yeah.
So you went from kindergarten to 2nd grade, you think?
Yes.
You remember your 2nd grade
I don't
teacher?
remember. I don't remember the other teachers.
No.
No.
Do you remember any of the kids from when you were in grammar school? Any of your friends?
Well, that was a long time ago. I don't know if I remember anybody.
That's funny. But you do remember kindergarten, you said.
Yeah.
Yeah. And grandpops would pick you up from school at the end of the day?
Yes. If the weather was inclement, it was.
He would come and get you?
Yeah.
But then otherwise, what would you do? Walk home?
Yeah, we walked.
Yeah.
We weren't too far.
Oh, okay. That was really good. A lot of the kids today don't walk to school
Right.
anymore.
I don't think there was any busing at that time.
No.
No, there was no busing.
Right,
Yeah.
because that was like in the late 1930s.
Yeah.
Did you and Aunt Lil, did you do any other activities at that time? Was there, like you used to play the piano. Do you remember when you started playing the piano?
Yes, I was probably. Let me think. I was probably about early teenager, probably, and I used to practice every day.
And who was your piano teacher?
I remember him. His name was Mr. Grillo.
Yeah, did he come to the house?
He was a professor. Yes, he came to the house, and we used to play together. Lots of times that we played. I played one. It was I forget what you call it. 2 people play on one piano.
Like a duet?
Yeah, like a duet. Yeah.
Yeah. You would play one part?
Yes, and he played the other part.
Oh.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you had your own piano?
Yes.
Now, how did you get interested in the piano? Do you remember?
I think my father liked music, and he brought all these Italian scripts, Italian music, and he used to ask me to play these Italian songs,
Yeah.
or Sole Mia, and he used to sing when I played. He enjoyed that. Yeah.
Did Aunt Lil play?
No, I was the only one.
Oh.
Yeah.
You must have been good at it.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Then finally, when I got to high school, I dropped it because I took stenography in high school,
Oh.
and I liked stenography very much, and I didn't want to be bothered to play on the piano again anymore. I didn't want to take lessons anymore.
Oh.
So
But did you keep playing?
Yes,
Yeah, just for fun.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
So, do you remember after grammar school? Oh, what grammar school did you go to?
Public school 136.
And when did you go to a new school? Like, was there a middle school back then?
No, we just went right to high school.
So you went to 8th grade, and then what high school did you go to?
Andrew Jackson High
Andrew
School.
Jackson?
Yes.
Do you remember that, going
Yeah,
to high
oh,
school?
Yeah, I remember that. And
What was that like?
It was fun. I joined a sorority, and we had sorority sweaters, and I had sorority friends. We did lots of things. Actually, sororities weren't allowed, so it was kind of like we kind of like did it on the
side?
side. Yeah, you didn't let anybody or the principal know that you were in a sorority.
And what was the name of the sorority?
Andrew Jackson High School. Omega. Gee, this is really scratching my memory now. What the name? I remember I had a sorority sweater. It was white and red. And what was the name of the sorority? Huh.
Or maybe it'll come to you.
Yeah, I don't remember the name offhand.
So how did you, if it was like a secret sorority, how did you get in? Like, what was the
Well,
process?
the one of my best friends was in charge, and she inaugurated me to come in, and we had Hell Night, it's called.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What,
we had to,
what was that
we had
like?
to do things. I remember we went to a bus station, and we went up on the top of where they had there was 2 floors, and we all had to go up there and sing. We had to sing songs at the bus station.
Oh, were there people around listening?
Yeah, they were listening, and they applauded us.
This was Hell Night.
Yeah, yes.
That doesn't sound too bad.
It wasn't. No, we didn't.
Yeah.
They didn't put us through too much.
No, no.
But we did have.
Did you have like sorority gatherings?
Yes. Yeah.
So where would you have that?
In the different houses.
Oh,
Yeah. I remember my best friend Dorothy Opals. I think her name was Dorothy Opals, and I remember one night I walked home, and she was like 246, quite a few blocks, and it was about 9 o'clock. It was getting dark, and I walked home by myself in the middle of the street. I know I was a little frightened to walk home, but you know, my mother didn't pick me up or anything. She didn't really approve of it.
she didn't.
No, she didn't.
So the kids didn't come to your house.
I don't remember them coming.
No.
No. But
Well-
I was friends with all the girls in the sorority. They were my
Yeah.
best friends.
Oh, that's nice.
And Dorothy was dating a boy. I know his name was. I remember that. And they were very much in love. And this was in high school. And before I knew it, they were married.
Wow.
And she had a child
Wow. In high school or after?
after high school.
Oh, after. After you graduated?
Yeah, I was dating Daddy at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And they invited us to dinner at their house.
So, in high school, what were you planning to do? Were you planning to use your stenography to go into the administrative world?
Well, actually, the teacher that I had was, her husband was, she was the wife of her husband, Doubleday, where I worked. And I got a job at Doubleday through my teacher. Her husband was the vice president. And she recommended me, so I worked for him. He was the vice president. Then I worked for a manager there. And I got a good job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And where was the job?
In the city.
So how did that? So you graduated from high school
Yeah, and then I took a bus and a subway.
to the city.
Yes.
And how old were you?
I was young. I was only like 17 or what was I? what could I have been?
Probably 17 if you
17.
skipped a year.
Yeah,
Yeah, you were probably only 17.
I was young, yeah. But Lil had a job in the city too, so we went together.
Oh, that's good.
And on the corner of where we lived, there was a bus route. So we got on the bus, and the bus took us to Jamaica, to the subway station. We got on the subway and took the ride into the city. And
Wow.
that was quite an experience. I remember getting dressed up at Rockefeller Center. We went to Rockefeller Center.
That's where Doubleday was?
Yeah, but then soon after I started working there, they moved to 59th Street, Madison Avenue.
Wow.
And it was in a nice area. And I remember one day Daddy came and we went to lunch to a hamburger place that was right around the corner. Real fancy place.
So what kind of a job was it when you first started working
I
in
was
the
the
city?
secretary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just you, and you had one person that you supported?
Yeah, I worked for, well, his name was Ed Stoddard. I remember his name.
Oh.
And he was a mentalist.
What is that?
Somebody who could read your mind, which I never knew the whole time I was working for him, except one day he wasn't there. And I started looking through his desk for something, and I saw a folder with his name and his picture, and his posing like this.
Really?
It's almost like somebody,
Huh.
called a mentalist. He was a
Wow.
mentalist, yeah. But he never told me, and I never told him that I saw that about him.
Oh,
I kept it kind of quiet because I didn't know how much the people in the office knew about him.
yeah.
Yeah, he was the advertising manager.
Oh, so he was a creative type.
Yes, he was very creative. He was a good boss.
You know, there's a show on TV called Mad Men about the advertising business
Yes.
back in that day and time. Because this would have been, so if you were 17, this would have been about 1950.
Yes,
Right?
probably.
Would have been about 1950 that you were working in the city. That's interesting. So what did you do after Doubleday? How long were you at Doubleday?
I didn't want to leave there, but I had problems with allergies. I never forget that. I had sinus problems, and I couldn't take that ride into the city anymore. I had to leave. So I
Oh.
left there, and I had a job on Long Island in an
Oh.
electrical company, Hazeltine it was called. I remember the name. But then I didn't know how to get there because I didn't have a car. But the people in the company that I went to, got a fellow to pick me up every day. So this young fellow picked me up. I don't think he liked the idea, but after a while we got to be friends.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So he picked me up every day. He had another fellow that went in the car with him.
Now, did you still live in Queens at the time?
Yes, I lived in St. Albans.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, so how long did you work there?
Well, from there I got a couple of jobs that I worked. It was just before I got married.
Oh, so we have to talk all about how you met Daddy.
Oh, I met him Aunt Lil and I went to an Italian club because my father was friendly with a man who was he was the president of a company, and he was Italian, and he liked my father, so he suggested that we go to this Italian club on Queens Boulevard. I'll never forget that. And there was a dance that night, so I met him at the dance. Aunt Lil was going with another fellow, and we met together, and we danced together.
Now, how come he was there? Why was Dad there?
My father wasn't there.
No, our dad.
Oh,
Ed.
yeah. Because he was friends with Aunt Lil's date, with my sister Lil's date. He was
Oh.
friendly. This fella brought Dad to the dance,
Right.
and I met him at the dance. And we
Oh.
danced together, and
Did he
Yep.
ask you for your phone number?
well, he got it somehow. But he didn't ask me. But then I had a date. I had a date with him. And then he came over one night, and I'll never forget it. My father insisted I sit down and play this song called Zardass, a waltz, and I had to sit there and play it, and I was so embarrassed. I didn't want to sit there and play this. And he insisted I sit there and show everybody how his daughter was such a good piano player. He really liked me piano.
He wanted Daddy to see how talented you were.
Yes.
That's funny. So how old were you when you met Daddy?
19,
Really?
yeah.
Wow. And Daddy lived in New Jersey?
He moved to New Jersey, yeah.
Yeah.
So he would come out to see me. He'd ride out every weekend to Long Island, to the Queens, to see me.
Aw.
And he, excuse me, he stayed at his grandmother's, who lives in Queens.
Now that was Marie, his grandmother, our great grandma.
Yeah,
And where did she live? Did she live in St. Albans also?
no.
No.
She lived in a town near where Daddy went to school, in Queens. I think, I forget the name of the place. Cleveland? No,
Cleveland?
He went to Cleveland High School out there near where she lived. And she lived in, I can't remember. She was a very nice lady. She was very,
I remember her.
yeah.
Yeah.
You remember?
We were there a couple times.
Yeah?
I remember going to her house a couple of times.
You do?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I remember that.
We went to visit her a couple
Yeah,
times.
but she wasn't living in the house that she lived in when I was a child, you know,
No.
when I was younger.
Yeah.
She lived in, with her daughter, upstairs from her daughter. Yeah, I think I remember going there. And I remember you guys came with me. We went to visit her.
Yeah. So you were 19 when you met Dad.
Yes.
So then, how long did you date?
Well, we dated quite a while, because he was still in college.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally I was 23 when we got married.
Now when did he go to the Navy?
Before, he had just gotten out of the Navy. He just had been gotten out after 4 years when I met him that
Yeah.
night at the dance.
Oh, okay.
So he had just
So he had
gotten out.
already been in the Navy when you met.
Yeah, he already.
Because
had
he's
it.
4 years older than you.
Yeah.
So then he was going to school.
Yes, he went to college. Then he went to. Can't remember the name of the college.
Well, I know he went to Fairleigh Dickinson.
Fairleigh Dickinson. Good for you for to remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he went to Fairleigh Dickinson, and he was going to school the first year we were married.
Yeah,
But I was working.
right.
And I had a secretarial job. That's where I met a lot of my friends, Joan and Carol, and a few of my friends. And I worked for a professor who was in charge of quite a big, because the war was starting, the war was on then, and he was in charge of electronics and everything. He was a very important person. But then I didn't stay there too long. Oh, then I got pregnant. Then I was married and I got pregnant. And we had to leave after you were 5 months pregnant. You couldn't work anymore.
Really?
Yeah, you couldn't, yeah.
You had to quit?
Yeah, they
They let you go?
you let go, yeah.
That would never happen today.
No. And would you believe I went for unemployment?
Really?
And I collected unemployment until I had you.
Oh, that was good.
Yeah,
Yeah. They had unemployment back in those days, huh?
yeah.
Did they have, yeah, so you collected unemployment, but now I was born in New Jersey. So how did you guys decide to move to New Jersey?
Well, it was a while after we were married. Oh, I know, because your father's mother and father lived in New Jersey. I moved to New Jersey while I was dating him. So he used to drive from New Jersey to Long Island to Queens to see me.
Mm-hmm.
And we got an apartment in New Jersey. And we went to school. I got it. Then at that point, we bought a little car for me because I didn't have any transportation to get to my job. It was about 10 or 15 minutes away. And I met a lot of friends there. And
Do you remember the name of that company?
it was called Hazeltine Electronics.
Oh, Hazeltine. And
Yeah.
that was in New Jersey?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Is that why we lived in Teaneck?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, right.
And do you remember where I was born?
You were born in Teaneck.
Yeah.
And
What hospital?
you were born when we still lived in the apartments.
Yeah.
What was the hospital? Oh, let me try to think of the hospital. All of you have been born in the same hospital.
Holy Name.
Oh, good for you, Nancy. You were all born in Holy Name Hospital. I'll never forget the nuns there. And when they came around to talk to us after you were born, I still had you as an infant, and she wanted to know what your name was. And I said, Nancy Ann. And she said, well, you can't name her Nancy Ann because that's the name of a saint, Nancy Ann. And she was thinking, yeah. So she said, you can't name her that. But we just ignored her and named you Nancy Ann anyhow. We named you.
Funny. Well, let's take a little break so you can take a drink, and then we'll come back with more questions.